So where does philanthropy fit in? Philanthropy generally focuses on one of two important purposes: conservation of something of value, as in works of art or parks or rainforests, or constructive change in some human condition, behavior, or system. The philanthropy of conservation will always be valuable, but it can be counterproductive if, in the case of the forest, for example, nothing is done to stabilize the world's population or to give everyone living near that forest a sustainable livelihood that does not destroy the environment. So for me, it's the second purpose of philanthropy, to transform a human condition, behavior, or system that is the critical challenge of our time. We are asked to do nothing less than rethink the economic models that we today have. We've done it before, moving from an agriculturally based society to an industrialized society that has embraced capitalism. The primary world economic system is organized around Western ideas and institutions. The main engine of economic development on this planet for 200 years now has operated through three interrelated drivers: the growth, basically, of industrial production and mass consumption, market capitalism within a framework of government regulation and minimum standards, and technological advances. Now, this has benefited some people hugely, some people to some degree, but 2 billion people still do not have a stake in the present global order. The gap between the rich and the poor is central to the challenge before us. Yet we cannot reformulate our institutional systems overnight. However, I am convinced that in the long run we can, because I witness currently the work that social entrepreneurs who are creating different types of institutions that combine public and private sector approaches to achieve economic and social transformation. So we are in a very interesting phase of our thinking and experimentation, and this is where philanthropy has a vital and catalytic role. The key ingredient to responsible philanthropy are imagination, disciplined innovation, and the ability to spot talent and persistence. Philanthropy is incredibly well placed to engage in driving innovation for transformational social change because it's free of two major forces that characterize the government and business, respectively: the voting booth and the bottom line. But sadly, for too many foundations and philanthropists, this liberty only seems to produce sluggish contentment. When I think about U.S. philanthropic institutions, for example, I think about ossified efforts trapped in short-term, small-town thinking, not realizing that the world is now in their backyard, or if they do realize it, they lack the courage and ingenuity to support path-breaking innovations that change systems. How has philanthropy responded to social entrepreneurship? Well, philanthropy often responds to fads. A new idea surfaces. Its advocates insist that it's a far better more effective approach than previous ones. The idea sticks around for a little while, and then the excitement fizzles until the next new idea comes along. And so the idea of this heroic social entrepreneur who rejects the traditional approach and comes up with new solutions to persisting problems is one that raises skepticism among many philanthropic leaders that tend to view the concept as a result of the dot-com boom that so glorified entrepreneurs. So they ignore the work of social entrepreneurs and continue to fund demonstration projects that they hope will catalyze social transformation in a ridiculous time period of 18 months to 2 years. But it is precisely in helping those successful social entrepreneurs achieve scale that our solutions lie. We cannot expect the systems and the problems we now experience. We can't expect those institutions that created some of those problems to now come up with the solutions to those problems. We need new alliances and new thinking. Governments and aid agencies can no longer be the sole actors in addressing injustice and inequality. The private sector can no longer see itself as simply in the business of making business, and the philanthropic sector cannot be expected to come in and fill in the gaps. We need different kinds of organizations, combinations of those that really are built on innovation to bridge all of these sectors. Now, the growth of social entrepreneurs starts out very slowly. Many times I'm asked, how do I get to be a social entrepreneur? Well, it's going to take a long time. Unlike many foundations who want to see short-term results instantly, social entrepreneurs have learned that it takes time to change the world. There are no overnight successes among social entrepreneurs, as with dot-com entrepreneurs. It often takes a social entrepreneur 5 to 10 years before their idea begins to take shape into a viable and scalable solution. And even then, the approach must be constantly modified to respond to unforeseen obstacles or to dynamics along the way that really changed the direction it was going in, only to still hit more barriers. Every setback means modifying the idea of the implementation, yet the social entrepreneur adapts and persists. As one of our social entrepreneurs, Ella Bhatt, the founder of the groundbreaking self-employed women's organization in India, said so eloquently, and I love this quote, "The biggest thing we've learned over 30 years of existence is that there are no definite victories or defeats. The most important thing is to keep going." Social entrepreneurs face challenges every step of the way because they challenge the accepted way of doing things. Social entrepreneurs defy traditional practice. Most perceive them as modern-day Don Quixotes, or at best, or at worst, totally crazy. But social entrepreneurs are a different kind of revolutionary. They see opportunities that we normal human beings don't, because we are blinded by the way things have always been done, the established way. So one of the major challenges that all social entrepreneurs face, even when they're successful, is that because they disrupt the established order of things, they are not welcome. If you think about it, most managers and civil servants deal with what is. Entrepreneurs do exactly the opposite. They focus on creating things the world has never seen. Yet the world does not give entrepreneurs sufficient status or opportunity to transform societies for the better. Originality and creativity are still viewed with great suspicion. Most organizations that seek to employ people look for evidence of academic achievement, a boring steadiness that produces good exam pass grades and grades rather than experiences that might suggest that a candidate is innovative or inspired or perhaps even rebellious. This is because most organizations have a low tolerance for mistakes. Risk-averse societies and organizations definitely keep people from failing, but they also keep people from trying. Attitudes towards setbacks and failure are a major factor in nurturing or curtailing the spirit of innovation and invention. Thomas Edison captures this attitude when he quipped, "I have not failed, I have found 10,000 ways it won't work." One comment that I often get about our organization's emphasis on the social entrepreneur is that we have a very American approach. Why do we focus on the individual? Certainly it takes more than an individual to be successful. They have founded organizations that are staffed by people who also should get credit for the initiative's success. Of course it's true that people in the organization are critically important. But let's look at this question a little differently. We're all humans, and we know that people and their institutions, whether government, business, or nonprofit, simply straight resist new ideas, however great they might be. Consider Muhammad Yunus, who I'm sure you've all heard about, the founder of the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, father of microfinance, and a board member of the Schwab Foundation, I'm proud to say. He spent years trying to convince banks that the poor were creditworthy, to no avail. So he set up a bank for the poor. And today the Grameen Bank has loaned $3.75 billion at a 95% repayment rate to 2.8 million borrowers in 40,000 towns in Bangladesh and launched a worldwide movement to provide credit to the poor, who were thought not to be creditworthy. As Yunus has told me, it turns out that the banks are not people-worthy. The point is, it takes an extraordinary persistence and creativity to sell the idea to others. The entrepreneur is incredibly inventive in that regard, working day and night to find a way to innovate, to persuade, to inspire, to engage, to have others believing in that change. In fact, that ability to overcome those barriers turns out to be much more important than the original idea.